Hello, welcome. This is going to be a reading for a welcoming theory about a Mother's Day reading that I'm going to impose. Basically, all the mothers out there, I'm so happy for all of you. I'm going to say that this is a welcoming feeling. There are times where we always, get to think about our mothers, enjoy ourselves, and all that. So, speaking of this, it's a funny feeling that I'm not a mother. Very funny, right? It's basically my sense of humor. But the point being is that this is what it seems to be. I know that there are challenges out there. There's always experiences. There's always, who, what, where, when, why, sometimes how in that situation. So there are times where we're going to look at this in a different way and a very, how it is. So this is how it seems to be, okay? So the reading that I'm going to impose, that this is a good reading, and let's begin. So the reading that you're going to look is the past, the present, and the future. So let's see. You have the Ten of Cups is upright. You have Four of Swords reversed, and you have the Temperance card. So, this could be a mother figure situation. The mother is not resting and she doesn't want that, right? But there are things that you're trying to remember, how to discover, how you can do that. It's an uptight situation. And there are things that you're trying to remember, but there are things that you're trying to discover, And this is how you can impose that situation, It's the way of how you can understand it and analyze how it seems to be. And there are things that you're trying to remember as it goes along, In theory, you know how it is. You know how it kind of seems to be in that note, because there are times where you can understand how it goes. So I want to clarify. Here. Let's see. You have the Six of Wands reversed. Is there anything else? Let's see what helps about that one, please. The Knight of Cups is up there. Yeah, so you could be dealing with another Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. So this is kind of like a way of how it is, right? So the mother of the Seven of Cups is like thinking about somebody, right? Because she's imposing that situation. So that's how that's based on how it is. Let's keep going, shall we? So we understand that basic of how it goes because it's the similarities. It's the way of how you can project and stuff. So I want to see how it goes. The moon that's reversed, there's no misinterpretation. There's no way of how it is, right? Because you're trying to remember how everything goes in one way or another. It's like a stepping stone. There are things that you're trying to remember and how you can do that as long as it takes, right? It's like a give and take situation. I'm giving you the information, you're receiving the information. You understand how it goes. It's the way of how you can impose. It's like me wearing my tube, for example. I'm enjoying it because I get warm to it. I like it. It's professional. I'm very different of it. This is how it is, right? And this is what it seems to be because this is a manifestation of how everything is going to go. It's the way of how it goes. It's the way of how you can be how it is, right? Because in some way and somehow, it's the way of how everything goes. And I'm going to clarify the Ten of Cups is upright, the Moon card, and the Temperance. I'm going to do that because this is a Sag-way situation, and this is how it goes, Because in theory, you know how it is one way or another, and it's just how it seems to be, right? Because you have to know the basics of how it goes one way or another. And this is how it seems to be, So in theory, this is what I'm kind of imposing, because this is how it's going to go, because Enlightenment, this is how it seems to be. So let's see. So we have the Eight of Coins is upright. So you could be thinking about working, you could be thinking about how it goes, right? The Hangman is upright because you have restrictions. This one you have the Queen of Wands reversed. There's no charisma. No. And then you have the Nine of Cups is upright because there's fulfillment. Everything is fulfilled, right? So you could be actually still, whatever it is, because you're still the mother figure of the Temperance card. I still want to clarify that card. So let's see. The Nine of Coins is upright. Yeah, see, that's how it kind of is, and how it is the Tower that's reversed because you have no chaos that's happening. Everything's not tumbling down. But there are ways that you're trying to remember. There are ways that you can considering. There's always a way of how it is, right? It's like a temptation, right? Everything is like a way of how it goes, And you have to look at it from a step-by-step situation, because you have to know what's happening. So I want to see it as it goes along. So I want to clarify this card here and the Tower. The Empress is reversed because you already have children, so you already know about that. You're not being judged. Yeah, that's unfortunate, right? Yeah, you're not being judged. But there are things that you're trying to remember, right? It's the whole shebang of how it goes, right? Because you have to see it. So I want to see how everything is going to go. So I'm going to do that. See. Page of Pentacles is upright because there's prospects. Yeah, because you're dealing with another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. Another one over here. The Hermit is upright because there's solitude. Yeah, see. So, in that mind, this is how it's going to go. It's the way of how you can understand it. It's a way of how it kind of goes, one way or another, right? And there are things that you're trying to remember, and there are things that you're trying to manifest in one way or another. It's the way of how it goes, right? But you can understand that because there is always two sides of the story here. If you look at if you look at the first, then you look at the second. So there are things that you're trying to remember, and there's lots of ways how to consider. This is how it goes, right? So you can see this as it goes along, because in order to do that, you have to remember that. You have to remember that there are things that you're trying to remember as how it goes along, right? This is how it seems to be. So anyway, while it's kind of getting interesting of the reading, this is how it goes, right? Because you have to remember that this is a play-by-play situation. When you have a play-by-play situation, you have to acknowledge that, right? It's the way of how it is. So I'm sure it's opposite of this. Let's see. The Five of Swords reversed because you're not having a conflict. The Wheel of Fortune is upright because you're having good luck on your side. And you have the Eight of Wands that's reversed. It's the way of how it goes, right? It's the way of how you can see it. So it's like a mini pause situation. So let's see what the universe is saying. for this Mother's Day reading? The King of Wands is upright. Yeah, because you're dealing with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. They want reversed because you're not having any anxiety or anything like that, right? Because you're not hurt. So about that part, please. The Six of Cups is upright because there's a past. Yeah, see, this is how it's gonna be. It's a lingering situation where you have to do what you can in order to do that. It's the way of how you can do it. It's the way of how the outcome is, and it seems to be that because, in other words, you have to remember that this is how it goes. You know, there's one way or another where you look at it, right?
You know, when they did the revision last October.
So this is how it seems to be. It's the way of how it goes. It's the way of how you can acknowledge that, and there are ways that you can consider because in order if you are doing this as much as you can, this is how it goes, right? It's a lecture and you understand how it goes, but it's the way of how it seems. So before I let you go, pay attention to understand this because there are things that you're trying to remember, there are things that you're trying to discover and understand because it's the way of how it goes and understand this because there's two steps forward, one step back, so think about how it goes, think about how it seems to be and acknowledge that because this is a way of how it is. This is the way of strategy situation, whether it imposes it or whatever. But this is a good Mother's Day reading for you all because this is how it's going to be. You understand that if you look at the past, not the present, not the future, there are things that you're trying to remember. You're trying to remember how it goes. It's the way of how you can understand that. It's the way of how it is. The way of how the lecture is, how it needs to be, and acknowledging that because there are ways that you're trying to remember, and this is how it seems to be. So before I let you go, pay attention to understand. Pay attention of how it seems to be. Pay attention of how everything is going to go. You see it as it goes along because no matter how you feel, no matter how you act and how versatile it is, you have to look at how it seems to be. This is like almost like a play-by-play situation, only who's acting here, who's doing that, right? So you think about how it goes. You think about this is what it seems to be. Because in order to do that, in order to identify, clarify, and all that, you have to know that this is what it seems to be. So I hope that this reading helps you. Give it a like, give it a comment, and acknowledge that because this is how it seems to be. So I hope that this is a good reading for you. Give it a like, give it a comment, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Really. Bye for now. Bye.